Okay, if you'll raise your hand, we'll get you a mic. Please identify your affiliation the first time, please. Go right back here, Coach.
Okay. Coach Tony Cornish Jr., WTVY TV News 4 in Dothan. The importance of starting off at home, 5 straight home games, that early momentum, how monumental is it in your overall plan to get this team ready to make a difference this year?
Yeah, well, I think if you look at our schedule starting out, it's one of the toughest in all of college football, and the fact that we're playing at home definitely helps with that. I know our players and our fans are looking forward to playing at home the first 5 games, but our schedule is a real schedule, and we're going to have to play well, and the first 5 games will determine a lot to see how our season goes.
Hey, Coach. Joe Whalen, WBMA TV in Birmingham. The contract extension and the vote of confidence from Jay Jacobs, how much did that mean to you?
Yeah, I think anytime your administration has confidence in you, that's a good thing. I love Auburn and really enjoy coaching here, and that was a real positive.
I'm going to go right here to your.
Gus, just wanted to ask you, I know you were quoted on SEC Network as Byron Cowart and Carlton Davis, Ryan Davis, Jeremiah Dinson. They're not going to miss any playing time. Can you explain your decision, why you came to that, and just your overall thoughts on their situation?
Yeah, those 4, they made a mistake. We punished them. They're fine young men. I believe we won't have any more issues with them, and it's the first time anything had happened to them, and so that's the reason I made that decision.
Here in the back.
Coach, Matt Roberts, WVLA TV in Baton Rouge. Bringing over Kevin Steele, how important was it to bring over a coach with SEC ties and has gone through the rigors of this conference?
I think it's very important, especially experience in our league. That's really something I was looking for, and he's a true professional. He's done a great job with our defensive staff, kind of gelling together. He's done a great job with our players. Our players have really responded well to him. There's a lot of carryover between scheme from last year to this year, and our defense finished strong the second half of the year. So really excited to have Kevin on board, and he's done a great job, and he's off to a good start.
Right here in front.
Coach, could you talk about your quarterback situation?
Our quarterback situation, we got 3 guys that are going to be fighting for the position in fall camp. The good thing is all 3, I believe, can execute our offense. That's the positive. The challenge we have is who's going to give us the best chance of a winning this year, identifying that person earlier in fall camp rather than later. We've got a good plan, I feel like, put them in some competitive situations to figure out who that guy is. The good thing is we have experience at this. 2013 is a very similar situation. It was wide open. Nick Marshall won the job, I believe, with 2 weeks before our first game, and he took it and ran with it. So we're hoping that we'll be able to name somebody sooner rather than later.
Right here.
Coach, Steve Nissom, WEAR Pensacola. John Franklin specifically, what has he shown you so far? What's been your impression of what he's brought to the table?
Well, John's come in with a very good attitude. He's won over his teammates from a teammate standpoint, a work ethic standpoint. For a new guy, that's probably the most important thing. He's a confident guy, and we'll see what happens once fall camp gets here.
Back here.
Coach, back to the schedule. Talk a little bit about the opener against Clemson, playing them at home. How big is that, and how do you prepare this team for taking on the reigning ACC champions?
Yeah, well, first of all, Clemson's one of the best teams in all of college football, and they have one of the better players, if not the best player, in Deshaun Watson. He's phenomenal. They got a lot of guys coming back off their team from last year that went to the final game, so it'll be a big challenge for us. I know they're going to be ready. I know our players are excited to play them, and we'll be ready. First games we've had some success in the past, and we're going to have to carry that over to this year.
Coach, you've got some different, style quarterbacks on the roster, guys that maybe bring different things to the table. When you're making your decision on who's going to be the starter, how important is fit within the offensive system?
Yeah, fit is very important. We'll define, who gives us the best chance of winning, and we'll tweak our offense and really try to build around that quarterback strengths. That's what we've done in the past. So, like I said, that'll be our challenge to identify that guy earlier in fall camp rather than later, as far as that goes. And we'll kind of tweak things and try to build around, that quarterback strengths.
It's over here. It's an obvious statement, but it needs to be said. I feel like we say it every year. There's so much pressure to win in this league, and there's so much scrutiny when it comes to job security from year to year. Now 2 years removed from the run you had, getting to the BCS championship game, do you feel increased pressure this year to win and improve the overall performance of the program?
Yeah.
And also, how has that evolved for you over the years as a coach, dealing with the pressure and what it takes to win in this league?
Yeah, it's the toughest league in college football, and you expect to win. Last year, we lost close games, and that was really the main thing. 2 years previous, we had one of the best records in close games. And, this past year we lost close games. And that's what you got to do in this league. You got to win the close games. We're more experienced this year. I like where our team's at. I like this coaching staff. I think we're in a good spot. And, I expect us to play better offensively. If you look at last year, we've always prided ourselves on being able to execute a high level and play very good offense. Last year we didn't get that done. Defensively, like I said earlier, we played good the second half of the year. We got a lot of experience coming back. There's a lot of carryover between the coordinators as far as scheme. So I think we're in a good spot, and I expect us to win close games.
Do you feel pressure personally, though, to win?
I mean, I feel the same way every year. You got to win. You got to win in this league, and I think every head coach knows that. But I like where we're at this year.
Right here.
Hey, Coach Cassidy Hill, WCJB. What sort of strides did you see from Muschamp this past year that indicate he was ready to move on to another head coaching role?
Well, he's a good coach. He's been a head coach, at this level in this league before, and he got an opportunity to go back and be a head coach at this level. So we were happy for him and wish him nothing but the best.
Back here in the back.
You're on your left, Coach. What is it that sets this league apart? You just talked about how tough it is. Is it just, it's easy to say, well, the best players are here, but is that all there is to it?
Well, I think the difference in this league and other leagues is every week you got to bring your lunch. Every week you have to be ready, and you got to win close games. And the teams that win close games, they have chances to win championships, and the teams that don't. And like I said, the biggest difference in the last year and the two previous years is we didn't win close games. The 2 previous years, we were one of the best in the country at winning close games. So that's really what separates this league and makes this league different.
Coach, I know that there's improved depth on the defensive line this season, but there's certainly a noticeable difference, or there has been in the past, when there's a healthy Carl Lawson on the field. How important is his health to the defense's performance this season?
Well, I think it's very important. He's as healthy as he's ever been right now, playing very good. He's an impact player. In this league, if you have an impact player on either side of the football, it's big. So him staying healthy is very big. We probably have as much depth as we've had defensive front, at least since I've been at Auburn. I think that's very important. This is a line of scrimmage league now on both sides, and we feel good about the depth that we have up front defensively. A lot of experience, have a lot of talent. Of course, you throw a Montravius Adams in with Carl. There are 2 guys that could have came out and got drafted early. They decided to come back and get their degree and help our football team, and I think that's very important.
Over here to your
Coach Vince Leno, WAK, CBS Montgomery. Your thoughts on the transfers you've had in the offseason, 12, 13. You talk about depth. You've obviously lost a couple of integral pieces.
Yeah, I feel good about where we're at, as far as our depth, as far as our players are concerned on offense and defense. This is our 4th recruiting class that we've recruited specifically what we're looking for. So, I feel good about where we're at from a depth standpoint.
right up front.
Coach, Rick Carley, Fox 6. How fast have you driven in that new BMW you bought a couple months ago?
I've probably broken the speed limit once, but I'm not going to tell you how fast I went. I don't want to get in trouble. I'm not a normal fast driver, though, so that ought to tell you. But it will go like 160, I think.
Coach, talk a little bit about Jeremy Johnson, where his mindset is right now. Have you talked with him extensively? Any special talks to keep him focused on the job at hand, given what happened last year?
Yeah, he went through a storm last year, and my experiences is, champions really have that ability to put adversities behind and make them stronger. And I think he's really handled himself very well in the spring and the summer. He's kind of got that chip on his shoulder that you need to recover from something like that. But he's competing for the starting job, and he's wanting to win it. And so I think that says everything.
Okay, right here.
Coach Tatum Everett, KTVS out of Shreveport, Louisiana. You mentioned that Kevin Still's having a smooth transition. Do you think he'll bring a little bit of edge to this defense, especially when it comes to LSU's offense, more notably Leonard Fournette?
Well, I mean, first of all, you're talking about one of the better players in America and their running back. But Kevin has done a very good job. Our players have really responded well to him. In the spring, they were flying around. They were having fun playing defense. He inherited some guys that have experience, and I think that's a good thing. And like I said earlier, the fact there's quite a bit of carryover in the defensive schemes has really helped. But he has that ability as a person that really brings out the best in players, brings out the best in coaches. And like I said earlier, our philosophies are exactly the same, and I think that's very important.
Coach, you talked earlier about the lines being so important in this league. With the SEC not getting as much respect from the quarterback position, do you feel like maybe a bigger offensive and defensive line can make up for some of those deficiencies versus a conference like the Big 12 that has quarterbacks and skill players like that?
Well, I tell you what, a big challenge in this league is protecting your quarterback because of the defensive fronts. You have to have a quarterback that can make plays when things break down. I think you see that every year. The teams that win championships in this league have a quarterback that can extend plays and make good decisions when things break down, because the defensive lines in this league are second to none. And a lot of times it's not just the starting four. It's a second group that you put in there too is going to have multiple NFL players, and that's the difference.
Up front.
Is there any hesitation for a Franklin or a young guy to be the quarterback at all from your standpoint, or whoever wins it wins it? I mean,
there's no hesitation at all from my standpoint. Whichever guy gives us the best chance of winning, we're going to play. You're talking about Nick Marshall 3 years ago that didn't go through spring ball. He learned the offense probably on the go the first four weeks, but he gave us the best chance of winning. So whoever that guy is, and my experience is not only coaches usually know it, but players usually know it as far as that goes. And like I said, the good thing is we got three guys that can run our offense. We just need to figure out who is going to give us the best chance of winning.
Right here.
Hey, Coach, there's high expectations for this young group of receivers coming in. How much do you anticipate them contributing right away?
Well, because of our depth, those young guys are going to have a chance to play right off the bat. That's just the situation it is. They're very talented. There will be a learning curve. Those guys are going to have to grow up in a hurry. We're going to rely on some of our older guys, especially early. But, I really think that group is going to be a strength of ours in the future.
Gus, I know over the last few years, points per game, and no year is the same, but points per game offensively has dipped a little bit from year to year. And I know you've said publicly how you want to try to continue to play fast, maybe even faster offensive execution. There's stuff that you want to improve upon. Offensively, generally this year, what certain things do you want to try to target specifically, try to get that offense maybe back to the extreme level it was back in 2013?
Yeah, well, 2 years ago, I guess in 2013 and 14, we had very good numbers offensively. In all areas. I think it was two of the better years in the history of our league offensively. But last year, we didn't play with pace. Pace is really one of our big advantages. The big difference was we didn't execute at a high level. We've always prided ourselves on executing at a high level. So those two things are really what I'm focusing in on, what our offensive staff is focusing in on as far as that goes. I know everybody kind of looks at the quarterback position last year, but it was an overall lack of execution. And sometimes, it makes the quarterback look like the guy at fault when it's maybe some other things. But the bottom line is we got to execute at a high level. I'm committed to doing that. That's what I like doing, and I'm committed to doing that. And I'm confident we'll be quite a bit better on the offensive side of the ball.
Right back here.
Gus, with all the exposure and hype that high school athletes are getting these days, does that make your job harder when they come in to kind of rein these guys in and kind of erase that?
I think every player is a little bit different, but at Auburn we got a lot of guys that come in. They're team players. They want to help the team. right off the bat, and they come in with good attitudes. We've had very little of of the other end of that, and I think that's a tribute to our players too, really being accessible and trying to help the young guys along with the wisdom and everything that goes with college football. And a lot of the guys we're expecting to help us early, the way that we're recruiting. So I think each individual is a little bit different, but overall I've been pleased with the classes that came in, with the attitudes that they came in with.
Do you think it's changed on a macro scale over the years, though, as far as?
No, there's no doubt. Social media's changed everything.
Front row, right here.
Taylor Tannenbaum, WHNT in Huntsville. You return your leading tackler in Rudy Ford. What do you expect from him this season, and how important is that experience in that secondary this year?
Well, I'm glad you brought up Rudy. I mean, Rudy's one of our best football players, and the fact that he led us in tackles the last 2 years, and you're talking about a guy that we recruited to play running back. So the first year or two, he's really learned to play defense. He has that experience. He is one of our faster, more athletic players on our entire team. He's very confident going this year, and he will be one of those impact players that will need to play very well on the defensive side, and we expect him to. He'll also return kicks for us, and he's one of the fastest guys we have on the team, and really feel like he's in a good spot to take that kick return into the next level also.
Front row right here.
Coach Stephen Gunner, WSFA Montgomery. You look a few years back, the national championship team with Jay Prosh at fullback and the impact he made for the offense entirely. Cameron Petway, are you all envisioning him as somebody who can make an impact with the ground game and also get out of the backfield and make some catches?
Yeah, there's no doubt. Chandler Cox is really going to be our traditional fullback that Jay Prosh played. Cameron Petway is a guy that, we're going to play at tailback. And, you saw him in high school. I mean, he's an excellent tailback in his own right. You're talking about a guy that's 240 pounds, so he can really run. He is a downhill runner, which that's our run game, and so in the spring game he had one of the more explosive run plays that we had. So we're committed to moving him to tailback full time, letting him do his thing. We think he's got a chance to be pretty good.
Last question right here in the back.
Mac McAllister, WAR, Pensacola. Coach, how important is it to have the running game and the offensive line in the early stages of the season to be on par to help out your young quarterback?
Well, I think it's very important. As far as our offense, we're a run, play, action team. We run the football. We have to run the football to be effective. I really like our offensive line, even though we've got guys that have kind of moved positions. We do have experience. I do like our running backs too. But that helps. If you can run the football, it opens everything else up. But I feel very good about where we're at there. And you're exactly right. We're going to have to be effective in the run game early, especially with opponents we're playing.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.